Tentative settlement reached in opioid case. Your news update, and we talk arbitrage. Yeah, on this edition of State of the Bands Weekend, starting right now. Hello and welcome to Arbitrage State of the Bands Weekend for May 28th, 2022. I'm Joshua Stark. Attorneys for the state of West Virginia and two remaining pharmaceutical manufacturers have reached a tentative $161.5 million settlement just as closing arguments were set to begin in a 7-week trial over the opioid epidemic, Attorney General Patrick Morrisey said Wednesday. Morrisey announced the development in court in the state's lawsuit against Teva Pharmaceuticals Incorporated, AbbVie's Allergan, and their family of companies. The judge agreed to put the trial on hold to get the parties the opportunity to work out a full settlement agreement in the coming weeks. Today does represent a very big day for our state, Morrisey said later in a news conference. Soaring inflation, Russia's war in Ukraine, squeezed supply chains, the threat of food insecurity around the world, the lingering COVID-19 pandemic. The risks to the global economy are many, leading to an increasingly gloomy view of the months ahead for corporate leaders, government officials, and other VIPs at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland. The war has been a thread setting back the global economic recovery from the pandemic, economists say. The managing director of International Monetary Fund sought to dispel the gloom this week, saying a global recession isn't in the cards, but it doesn't mean it's out of the question. Colin Cantwell, the man who designed the spacecraft in the Star Wars films, has died. He was 90 years old. The Hollywood Reporter reported Sunday that Sierra Dahl, Cantwell's partner, confirmed that he died at his home in Colorado on Saturday. Cantwell designed the prototypes for the X-Wing Starfighter, TIE Fighter, and Death Star. He also worked on films including 2001: A Space Odyssey, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and War Games. Cantwell was born in San Francisco in 1932. Before working in Hollywood films, Cantwell attended the University of California, Los Angeles, where he got a degree in animation. He also attended Frank Lloyd Wright's School of Architecture. In the 1960s, he worked at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in NASA on educational programs about flights. Cantwell worked with NASA to feed Walter Cronkite updates during the 1969 moon landing. A partial skull that was discovered last summer by two kayakers in Minnesota will be returned to Native American officials after investigations determined that it was about 8,000 years old. The kayakers found the skull in the drought-depleted Minnesota River about 110 miles west of Minneapolis, Grenville County Sheriff Scott Habel said. Thinking it might be related to a missing person case or murder, Habel turned the skull over to a medical examiner and eventually to the FBI, where a forensic anthropologist used carbon dating to determine that it was likely the skull of a young man who lived between 5500 and 6000 BC, Habel said. It was a complete shock to us that the bone was that old, Habel told Minnesota Public Radio. The anthropologist determined that the man had a depression in his skull that was perhaps suggestive of the cause of death. More after this on Arbitrage State of the Bands Weekend, including Royce Wells.
It's Thursday night and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This week's State of the Band's blog includes spiders. Why did it have to be spiders? Presidential tech, and Royce and I talk about what's going on here at Arbitrage. Pretty cool. All this and more in this week's State of the Band's blog, available now at arbitragetrade.com. Now let's get down to it with the president and CEO of Arbitrage, Mr. Royce Wells, for more. Royce, did you bring any raid?
Yes, we're going to do a raid. We're going to do the Citadel and what? Not different raid?
Are you talking about League of Legends again?
No, I was actually talking about World of Warcraft.
All right.
The Lich King has to die.
All right.
Leroy Jenkins.
Okay. So I'm concerned about you now, but I'm also concerned about our Ari, who gave us a story about spiders this week.
Did you know a lot of people are afraid of spiders?
Including me. It's called arachnophobia.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's an irrational fear.
Is it?
Yes. It's like spider on the desk. You see it. Okay, pulse spider on you, you're dead. You know, it's just like from heart attack to life's good, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they're nice ones.
I better not.
They're little ones. They're jumping ones. Some are cute. Some are not.
Let's not get the jumping ones in here. Let's talk about the story.
They don't even bite.
Royce. Let's talk about the story.
Hey, want a pet spider?
So, no. But apparently there's a black market for spiders.
Okay.
What the heck, man?
I personally like a pink-toed tarantula, but that's just me.
I don't think so. So apparently you can go to the black market, and according to some listings, you can have spiders as pets. Please God, no, not around here. I'm begging you.
Hey, you won't have any other insect problems.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Get yourself a couple of spiders, a couple of skinks, and you're good.
I'm good, man. Really, I'm all right. You know, especially not tarantula or anything like that. You know, I can't do with that. But the thing is that the spiders are being offered on the black market, but there's a finite number, isn't there?
Yes and no. Right. I mean, the other thing is when they lay eggs, they have billions of them, right? But think about this: they only live about a year to 2 years. So that means you bought it, you spent all kinds of crazy money, and guess what? A year, if you're lucky, maybe 2, and then you got to do it all over again.
That is true, man. Why in the world would you pay so much for something that only lasts a year or 2?
Hey,
I mean,
remember associate's degrees? Oh, wait, we're not talking about that. Continue. Oh, I'm sorry about that, guys.
All righty then. So, yeah, I mean, and not to mention the fact, what if you get injured by one of these things? I mean, there are venomous and non-venomous spiders, and there are, limited supplies of anti-venom in the United States for certain spiders. For example, like
a Sydney tunnel web spider?
Yeah. I mean, what if you get bit by a Sydney tunnel web spider, which I didn't even know existed until now, and I'm really, really freaked out.
Hey, it's not a brown recluse. You'll be fine.
Yeah, they're around here.
This is Tennessee.
All right, I'm going to Kroger to get some Raid and more after this on Arbitrage State of the Band's Weekend.
Is it radioactive?
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The long-serving Dutch Prime Minister is in hot water over his low-tech cell phone. Mark Rutte is facing unusual political and public pressure over revelations that he has been deleting text messages about official matters for years. Critics accuse him of concealing state activity, but he says the messages just took up too much space in his years-old Nokia 301. Rutte survived a no-confidence vote in Parliament on Thursday over the deleted text messages, but opposition parties are calling for further inquiry. Questions have also surfaced over whether his use of the old phone might have jeopardized national security. In investigating the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, Dutch newspaper De Volkskrant discovered that Rutte had been regularly deleting texts from his Nokia 301 for years. The daily newspaper noticed messages were missing from an official records request, and following a lawsuit, Rutte revealed that he immediately deleted messages he deemed unimportant, forwarding the remainder for an official archive. Messages that were missing included one from Amsterdam Mayor Femke Halsema regarding a Black Lives Matter protest in June 2020, where attendance was 10 times higher than expected, and a message from Unilever CEO Paul Polman regarding a controversial tax issue. Rutte, now in his fourth term and among the EU's longest-serving leaders, has been using his Nokia 301 for years for communication, although he also has an iPhone, which he says he only uses to read the news. The Prime Minister denies any wrongdoing. "I have kept to the letter but also the spirit of the law from A to Z," he said during the heated parliamentary debate. He has long been criticized for his secrecy, holding that discussions between government officials shouldn't be publicly available. Rutte tries to limit official business to phone calls or face-to-face meetings where no notes are taken. Written communication, including text messages, can be disclosed to journalists under the Open Government Act, while phone calls are not required to be recorded. A government lawyer initially claimed Rutte needed to delete the messages because of a shortage of storage space on the phone, but Rutte later said it was because the phone was slow if too many messages were kept in the inbox. It is possible to archive text messages on the Nokia 301, however, which would reduce the need to reload them, according to Arnold Wolke, a journalist with Dutch technology website Tweakers. Noting multiple occasions when Rutte had said he couldn't remember details about controversial incidents, Labour Party leader Ate Kulkin said, "It appears that the Prime Minister's phone memory is used just as selectively as the Prime Minister's own memory." Rutte claimed he had no memory of an important memo during a child care allowance scandal in which thousands of parents were wrongly accused of fraud, and for which his entire cabinet was forced to resign. In another case, he said in an interview that he couldn't recall being informed about the Dutch bombing at Hawja, which killed dozens of Iraqi civilians in 2015. The phone revelations have also tied to questions about security. Rutte's use of the Nokia went against the Dutch government guidelines of the Prime Minister's own IT organization, which recommends that users update their devices monthly. More after this on Arbitrage State of the Band's Weekend.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What?
No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm gonna do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time.
What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Royce, we need to unionize here.
No, unions are good in large quantities, but not in small.
Well, apparently Activision Blizzard disagrees with you because their small union of quality testers in the company voted 19-3 to unionize.
Okay.
So,
well, that may give them a bigger voice. The unions usually come around for a reason.
Yep. In this case, it has to do with basically the frat boy culture that seems to discriminate against women that was prevalent a few years ago that they got sued for last year finally. And, you know, well, however you feel about that, Microsoft took them over and they said they're not going to interfere with the union efforts. So that's pretty cool on their part, I think.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's for the betterment of everyone. That means not only form, but they also have a voice. And that allows maybe Activision Blizzard to be able to say, hey, what do you guys want to see next? And that gives maybe the players a better voice at doing that.
Yeah, so 19 Raven employees, which was the software studio that impacted this unionization, could affect 350 people of the entire studio. So,
oh, wow.
We'll see how this works out. It's going to be interesting to see how this really comes together because Raven is just a division of Activision Blizzard, and we'll see what goes on there because, I mean, hey, you know, it could be good, it could be bad. We'll see, right?
This is just a giant raid. I just want to see who the boss is. Tell me who the boss is.
See who the boss is. Speaking of
is
bosses,
it a CEO? I mean, it was like 350 people rushed the CEO.
Bobby.
Crowd control. You need crowd control.
I don't know, man.
He sweeps.
But speaking of bosses, the DOJ has given the green light to National Guard members
nice
on active duty for states to join labor unions.
Absolutely. That's a good idea, too.
This is actually an interesting thing because there is a U.S. law that makes it a felony for military personnel on active federal duty to unionize.
Yeah, because now you have splinter cells. That's what that creates. It could create that. You can't say it can't, right? I mean,
yeah.
Because you have people who are well-trained and now organizing, which could potentially go wrong or be used for good, like anything.
Yeah. So this was brought about because of a federal lawsuit filed in Connecticut by labor unions. They said, hey, this really doesn't apply to National Guard members because they're on state duty and not federal duty. So they have collective bargaining rights, and now the National Guard members in Texas have started to unionize. It's interesting.
Looks like we're going to have that capital of Texas after all.
I don't know about that, but at least
they're big enough to be a country. Have you
true.
seen the size of Dallas? It takes over an hour to get across the city.
I do know that. Dallas is large.
Like most things in Texas.
Like most things in Texas, including steaks. Let's go get
Absolutely.
a steak.
Yes.
I'm hungry.
Houston's, here we come.
I'm hungry. All right, more after this on Arbitrage State of the Band's weekend, including our Arbitrage update. Stick around, it's going to be fun.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
With all the hoopla going on with the Dutch Prime Minister and his Nokia phone, it's interesting to see what our world leaders are using for their smartphone of choice. For example, President Obama used a hobbled and chipped BlackBerry for internet only, apparently. Later, he was saddled with a secure iPhone. More about that in a minute. President Trump, until 2016, was using a Samsung S3 until he too was given a secure iPhone. You might think the world's most powerful man would have access to any gadget he chooses, but when it comes to consumer tech, Joe Biden may be sorely disappointed. The electronic devices around the U.S. president are perhaps the most prominent hacking targets in the world. The odds are zero that Russia isn't targeting world leaders, Harvard Kennedy School lecturer Bruce Schneier says. Back in the 2000s, this wasn't such a big problem. The only personal devices that could be hacked were computers and non-smart mobile phones. And why would the president need a mobile when he could just ask to be patched through to anyone in the world on a secure line? But that all changed in 2009 when Barack Obama took office. He was so attached to his BlackBerry he fought with security advisors for weeks to keep it, a right he eventually won through a compromise that allows him to stay in touch with senior staff and a small group of personal friends, according to an official. And since then, the range of tech devices the president might want to use has steadily increased, giving security advisors sleepless nights. When the iPad came out in 2010, of course, the president wanted one. So national security advisors created the Obama Pad, a hardened, more secure iPad, which a former advisor tells us was replicated for his staff. In the Obama administration, for senior staff, it was common to have an iPad that had certain modifications to it, said Ari Schwartz, a National Security Council cybersecurity official during the Obama administration. Nevertheless, the tech setup of the White House remained somewhat old-fashioned. There's no Wi-Fi, Mr. Schwartz says, and we actually had a little bit of a discussion at one point about adding Wi-Fi. It was more of a discussion like, why can't we have Wi-Fi in the White House? And the feeling was, well, then you're opening up security lapses. The Obama's residence eventually installed Wi-Fi, but it remained patchy at best, according to the family. Donald Trump, arguably the most famous man on Twitter during his term, also insisted on using a personal device, reportedly a series of burner phones used briefly and then replaced for security reasons. But he was also widely reported to be skeptical of computer use and email, preferring paper for most communications. If the iPad gave tech advisors a few sleepless nights back in the day, the Internet of Things today represents a recurring nightmare. Everything is becoming a computer, Mr. Schneier says, and those computers are vulnerable, whether it be your Peloton bike or your phone, your refrigerator, your thermostat, toys, your car. Those are all vulnerable for hacking, and that is a problem for President Biden, who seems to like his gadgets. He has been photographed wearing an Apple Watch and reportedly owns a Peloton or exercise bike that comes with a computer screen, camera, and microphone all connected to the internet. Can that be made secure? You could do things like modify the hardware, like ripping the camera out. That's something that the NSA can do, Mr. Schneier says, and that may be safer, but that may also defeat the purpose. More after this.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous, as in Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
While we have Royce here, he's the president and CEO of Arbitrage Trade Analytics and arbitragetrade.org and Arbitrage Institute. We've got a lot of stuff going on around here, man. And we wanted to sit down and talk about that. One of the things that we do that most people don't know about is some of our charitable pursuits. We've got some of the things that we sponsor, like we've got the Dash and Flash that we do every year with Trail Trippers, right?
Yes. That's in September the 10th.
September the 10th.
At
Mark
Highland
the date.
Climb, right off Walnut Grove.
If you're in Memphis, Tennessee, which some of us aren't, but we'll still be glad to see you there. What else have we got going on?
We're going down to New Orleans. We're sponsoring a gospel concert.
Very cool.
For some youth down there. Grown and Saved is the name of the concert. Joanna Hale, who is currently number, I think, 13 on the gospel billboards right now for what she's doing. And she's a very big pillar in the community down there. She's invited us down there, and she's also a member of Arbitrage. So she's like, hey, you guys want to come and sponsor us and help us do this? And we said, absolutely. It's for the community. Let's go.
Sounds like a plan.
And that is June 25th down in New Orleans.
June 25th. Mark it on your calendar. Be down there.
Yes.
Be there, be square. How about that? Check our social media at Facebook, and we've got Instagram, and we've got LinkedIn, and we've got Twitter. We will be posting more about those coming up.
As we get closer, absolutely.
So make sure you're on our social medias.
We even show you how to get tickets.
Social medias need tickets.
Yeah.
Need tickets. So, not only that, but we do try to make people money around here, don't we?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And arbitragetrade.com is getting bigger and better. We're expanding into cryptocurrency. So if you've never dabbled in that field or basically looked that way, it's coming towards us, and we're trying to make sure that people in the Memphis area as well as the world get the opportunity to learn about it. We've posted new materials on arbitragetrade.org under education. And basically, if you know nothing about cryptocurrency, you can go navigate there and learn a whole lot about the different ways you can get involved with cryptocurrency and learn just a little bit more about arbitrage.
Yep. Not only that, but we have free seminars from Mr. Royce Wells on Sunday afternoons
at 3 p.m. Central Time.
And you can actually join that. Instructions on the website. We have Abdul Korama, who is an amazing crypto trader in his own right.
Absolutely.
I've had a chance to listen to some of his stuff.
Yeah.
Arbitrage Band Basics with Melissa. And Melissa Andrews is one of our newer instructors, but she's awesome as well.
Yeah, she is definitely a firecracker. She is good, really good at getting you on board and basically launching. If you've never traded Forex, I definitely suggest listening in on one of her sessions.
Not to mention Josh Morgan, who is our Power Hour guy. He does a live stream
at 2 o'clock.
He trades like crazy. It's pretty cool.
Yep, every weekday.
And make sure you go to arbitragetrade.org for those free resources. We will see you next week, however, on Arbitrage State of the Bands Weekend. Have a great one and have a great Memorial Day. Don't forget that we're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at arbitragetrade.com and .org, where you can find tons of free seminars and our live seminars as well.
Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC, is a privately held market research company. Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC, is solely responsible for the preparation and distribution of the content of this podcast. The opinions offered in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be investment advice. Seek a duly licensed professional for investment advice. For more information about the informational research and services offered by Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC, please visit Arbitrage Trade